I am a veteran, as the reason I wear this hat. Um, I spent 9 years in the United States Navy, made 2 WestPac deployments on 2 different aircraft carriers, and I'm quite proud of that. I feel like I did something. Now, I was never in combat during that entire 9 years. I'm considered a Vietnam era veteran. But the part of Vietnam I was actually in the Navy for was that final evacuation of Saigon and the fall of Saigon to the North Vietnamese, and I couldn't have possibly been there either, because I was still going through various schools preparing me to report to my first squadron. I was in aviation, and start doing what I'd actually joined the Navy to do. But I was talking to one of my cousins who is a Vietnam veteran, and he said that at one point after he came back from Vietnam, back to Kansas, which is a very patriotic state. We didn't have the hippies doing all the protesting and stuff like they had out in Berkeley and San Francisco and wherever else. Or even, for that matter, sadly, at Kent State. And I say sadly because that never should have happened, and that was National Guardsmen anyway. But, real soldiers would have been more disciplined, I think. But, and I say that kind of tongue in cheek too, because my brother served 32 years. A whole bunch of that was in the National Guard, but full time. He wasn't a weekend warrior. He was 40 hours a week if he was lucky. Usually more. And he did something I never did, 2 combat tours in Iraq. But anyhow, in talking to my cousin, he said he got back, finished his hitch, got out of the Army, came home, started trying to make a living. And a kid asked him, now this was a kid that, this was still in the late 60s or very early 70s, and the draft was still going, and this kid was worried about being drafted and sent to Vietnam, and he was, I think, possibly considering making a run for the border, and I don't mean to Taco Bell. And he asked my cousin, well, why on earth did you allow yourself to be drafted and sent over there? Did you hate the Vietnamese that much? My cousin thought about it a minute, and he said, no. I didn't hate the Vietnamese. He said, after my time over there, which he didn't do a full tour because he got wounded and sent home early. But he said, even after my time over there, I didn't hate the Vietnamese. But he said, I loved what I felt that I was defending, my country, my people. Whether we're talking about Kansas or the United States or this county or whatever, we can take it down to my household if we want to. you know. Now this is the way the veteran thinks. We don't go out there and put our lives on the line, and didn't when we were in service. And most of us, I can tell you from talking to other veterans, even veterans who are very much against some of the things our military is involved in or has been recently, still, if the country called, would be there. And it's not because of any hatred for America's enemies. I don't hate my own enemies. Why would I hate America's? You know? I mean, I figure, why should I hate my enemies? I made them. So I don't hate America's enemies. Most veterans don't. It's not a question of what we hate, it's a question of what we love. And what we love is this country, its people, its institutions, its way of life. As for those of you who have followed up from my video a couple weeks ago, As Others See Us, and have maybe watched some of the videos or even all of the videos that Hannah and Ina posted, the two North Korean defector sisters who came here and visited the United States and want to come back. You know, and if you watch those, you start to realize we have something very different from the rest of the world. And those ladies talked about our confidence. You know, we go around confidently, overconfident in our freedom. Where in North Korea, when they were growing up, they had to fear the government. We don't fear our government because we are our government. We may send representatives to Washington or, since I live in Kansas, Topeka, or right over here to the courthouse, or down here to City Hall. We send representatives. We don't go and, have a pure democratic vote on everything where everybody has to vote, and majority rule. No, we're protected from the majority. Our rights are protected. That's in our Constitution. That's in our laws. That's in the decisions of our Supreme Court. Well, we can be confident because of the freedom we know we have and we know is protected. And I don't care how much you try to say Trump's trying to be a king or go back and, on the flip side, I remember hearing people on that side too, that Obama was trying to be king. Well, he said he had a pen and a phone, he could just rule by that. He didn't need Congress. Some things he needed Congress for, some things he didn't. And it's been the same for all 47 presidents. Sometimes they've needed Congress, sometimes they haven't. Abraham Lincoln suspended habeas corpus without Congress. But Woodrow Wilson couldn't put in an income tax without Congress. In fact, he couldn't put in an income tax without 2/3 of the states because it took a constitutional amendment. So it depends on how you're trying to do things, what you're trying to do, but our representatives can only do so much. And then we, the people, can bring it to a screeching halt if we want to. And we have been known to. But that's what we have. We have that freedom, and we have the confidence of that freedom. We know that we have that freedom. We know that no matter how much this side or that side says this one or that one is trying to be a dictator or a king or this or that or whatever, we know that in the long run, that Constitution is going to protect us, and our military and our veterans are going to protect that Constitution.